welcome to Silverrun Forest Farm. We're here with Jake and Paige, and just gone 7 o'clock in the morning here in October, the back half of October. Plenty happening, as has been the case for the last few months. Jake's already been down to the big field we had the barley in last year, and let's just open the lids there, fill it up with milk, and got the weeder going. Got a contractor working on that one for us, and so now, as you can see, we've got 6,875 litres of milk in the tanker here. So we're just heading down to the dairy while we wait for the sun to come up and the rest of the valley to get itself sorted out. But we'll get some milk into the dairy. He'd already turned off the cheese production because it was getting close to running out of milk. We've had our hands full with those harvests the last couple of episodes, and that's going to continue today, just different crops. But on the way to the dairy, we might drop past. You'll remember at the end of the last episode we were cutting out the headlands on the cornfield by the water, so that cornfield needs finishing, and the harvesters there ready to go. You can see our weeder working its way across the field here. We unloaded last time, if I recall. Yep, there's a tank full there. Let's just back up a fraction, put the header down, and get our... actually, what we'll do is we'll just get him working. What angle's he running at here? Pretty close to 270 if we straighten that up a fraction. Just put him on a regular worker, I think. Don't need any fancy instructions. He can just go backwards and forwards and finish this field off. And we can get the milk across to the dairy. It's probably a little under equipped for a full trailer full of milk, but it'll get the job done. Let's head on over. If we've got time today to get some feed sorted out, we can look at getting some cows into that fancy new cow shed that we've arranged. But if we don't, so be it. So priorities today have to shift to our sugar beet crop with any luck. We'll have a bit of a look at the crop situation in a minute, but that was his first impression. First of all, though, let's back this in here. Alright, so let's just duck into the dairy. And now that there's plenty of milk in there, we can activate the cheese again. So this will be good for a little while. Now the next job, we'll just duck around to the store. Because the key decision to be made today is, are we going to do the sugar beet? And if so, how? And he's got a bit of a plan. In fact, what we might do is we can leave the tanker over here out of the way. Let's check our situation. So our fields So the fields we put the beets in by mistake aren't ready. But we have 2 areas that are, and of course we've got to finish the corn. And the 2 fields that we've got soybeans in won't be ready till next time. So we don't want to leave all of that work till November. So what he's thinking is to proceed. And if you think or recall back to the past, sugar beet's always been a bit of an experiment. And what he's keen to see is if we can get the bigger equipment. And as he looked, we're not going to buy equipment to handle the sugar beet harvest. And last year we used this trailed unit, which cost us 5,000 to lease, I think, somewhere in that sort of order. Yep, 5,000 to lease. And we comfortably made our money back just with the small amount. Well, we've got more than double, if not triple, the amount of sugar beet we expect to get from this year's crop. And so what he's thinking is now's the time to do the rest of our experiment and see if one of these bigger machines, even though they're really expensive, whether they'll operate on the hillside. So what he's thinking is going with the smallest one, which is probably this one right here. It holds 30 cubic meters. There's nothing fancy that we need to be doing to it. Of course, we've got to put a header on the front of it. But if we lease one of these, it's going to cost us the best part of 14,000. So we're going to lease that. And it will need a header. But we shouldn't need the trailer for the header, because we should be able to drive it pretty much through our land to our field from the store here. So we're just going to lease the header for it. And that should set us up. So what he's hoping is, without too much fuss, we can find our way over and see if we can get some sugar beet off our field. And which way does the header go on here? It goes on from that side. It'll just be a little tricky the way they've laid it out here at the store, but I'm sure we'll figure something out. Lucky it's got those little wheels on the bottom there, and the 4-wheel steering helps though. What he's hoping is there's enough overall maneuverability in this machine, and it's not too top heavy for the slopes that we've got the sugar beets on. But let's go find out. This field here on the left is the one that's not quite ready to harvest. Hopefully we'll be next time. But we can take care of the one that's around closer to the farm. And it certainly hasn't been any difficulty getting this through the forest. There's our soybean crop in there, looking really good. Fair bit of money sitting on the hillside there for us later in the year. We no sooner got round the beet harvester round to the field, and he got a call to say that the corn needed emptying and that it was going to fill up the trailer, and so he's decided rather than mess around shuffling backwards and forwards, we'll just concentrate on getting the corn off here first. And now that he's got the beet harvester and he's made the decision to buy the bigger one, that should help us get it off that field faster. And so let's just get this corn harvest sorted. I've got a pretty handy load of corn in the silo now. Should end up somewhere north of 200,000 litres, notwithstanding, of course, we started with a fair bit, some 50 odd thousand left over from last year, so good spot to be. That weeding's coming along nicely now that the sun's out. Let's just check our totals while we're here. Corn, that load takes us up over 160,000. And as you can see, if we get up near best price, that's a pretty handy check coming in towards the end of the year. Oh, sorry, early in the new year. Looking at the little mini map, you can see the yield continues to be pretty darn strong on this field, as we leave a couple of ears there to go on with. The green, or the darker the green, the further over 100% the yield is. The light green tends to be somewhere around the 100. Yeah, the yield and the amount to go might have underestimated. Might be 3 loads in the harvester to grab off here. Over the last week or so, Jake's been talking to the guys running that new biogas facility, so whilst they're not fully up and running, they are happy for him to cut sugar beet off. That'll give them a feedstock to start their fermenter. So he did go ahead and buy a cutter, which he's put on the front of the Allis, so it should enable him. His current plan is he's going to just dump it on the apron where we currently, or near where we make the seed, and then can cut it straight into a trailer to bring down. So that's the plan. Of course, we're at 97%, so let's go and empty this out. With everything that's been going on, Jake's conscious. It's the end of October. He's seriously missed the window for his ice cream. That doesn't mean the plan's gone away. It just took him a little bit longer to get organised and to get Paige comfortable. But of course, since then, you know, we've got that big new cow shed for the next 20 years, and ultimately that'll help. But the best way for that to help is to get it all up and running and bulk up our milk supply. So he's kind of thinking that probably should be the focus of the next couple of months at least. think about how to, you know, it was all well and good having 30 or 40 cows just up by the shed at the farm, but putting a couple of hundred in that flash new facility over there is going to take a little bit of looking after. Kind of handy that Paige is a vet, even though horses are more her thing than cows. But if you can spend a few months getting that sort of get the feed situation under control, need to invest in better way of doing TMR. He doesn't want to be using that little unit he's got, and so that's where he's kind of thinking that the money that's stored up might be better spent figuring out how to feed cows at scale. We've got the silage and the hay, so, or at least we will have the hay when we cut the meadow by the riding school. So it's just a matter of, once you can see how the feed goes, then we can invest in a few and get the process rolling along. Based on the rate we're getting through this, we should have this done by lunchtime, and hopefully we'll be able to get those two smaller fields of sugar beet with that fancy piece of equipment that he's organised knocked out during the afternoon. Ideally, if he's got time, it'd be great to get a cut of grass off the riding school meadow. Just take that job off the list for November. I definitely underestimated how much corn he had left. This half a tank here will probably top the trailer off. We'll go empty that, and there's probably another full trailer there. So there's almost half a trailer. Let him finish. One thing we didn't do while we were down the store is check the sales, just to see. Well, there's a disc that would be interesting, except for the fact that we can't run it. We don't have anything like 560 horses. However, this trailer might be a bit more interesting. This is exactly the sort of thing Jake's been hoping would come up. And the timing's pretty good. So, what do we get here? There's white, stainless. Given the crops we want to use and the price, we could probably afford stainless. It'll just be a bit more durable, I think. Beautiful. Let's take that. That was unexpected. Another Traction King, very similar to the one we've got. This guy's only got 6.5 hours on it. And that might be older than the one we've got. Let's have a look here. We've got the 2870. I think we might stick with the one we've got, even though it is a little bit older. So I'm pretty sure we're not going to fit the rest of the crop that's on the field in this trailer, so we'll empty at the end of the row, and with any luck the harvester will get what's left in his hopper from here. As he was sitting there sort of contemplating feeding the cows, Jake's thinking he might go with the trick that he ran last year and put grass on this field that we're just taking the corn off as a cover crop. Could even do that up by eddies if we're move swiftly enough next time, and that would give us heaps of grass for silage and hay. We've got plenty of straw, and so that would set us in really good stead in terms of feeding the cows. And then based on how we project that, just put a spring crop into one or both of those fields. He doesn't want to do corn in there again. Wants to rotate that around, but we could potentially do corn up on the hillside next year. I guess what we plan up on the hillsides kind of depends a bit what we learn from running the harvester later on in the day. For the minute, we'll just get this crop off here. That's the last of the corn, so let's top off the trailer. We're going to want the truck up the hill, so we need that trailer emptied. We probably need to send the prime mover back to buy our new, to pick up our new trailer at the shop. Let's just park you out of the way by the edge of the fields. Timing's really good. Looks like our Kubota has in fact finished. While that's emptying, let's go and get the Kubota sorted. That's all the weeding that we need to do there for the moment, so we can just drop this over here out of the way and run it up a bit later on, I think. Of course, on that field right there, what is the width on this? I don't think it is 6.8. Let's have a look at our mower. 6.2, I thought it was as much. So we'll put it at 6.1. 6 headlands is excessive. And what does that look like? That looks unduly fiddly. We kind of want it to work. Maybe we need to do an extra headland to cut that out of there. Let's see. Nope, it didn't get it. Little strip up the side there is just proving tricky. What happens if we go longest edge? Just like that. Not have to do so many turns. So we'll start you off. These kids down here at the riding school are pretty handy helping out with that sort of job. Let's go and pick up our new trailer. Ultimately, I think we're going to need both trailers for the sugar beet. It might be easier to use this one to pull the crop off the fields, and then the big one to transport cut sugar beet down to the BGA. So that's the way we might set it up now that we've got an option. Here's our flash looking trailer. Now, did they do any maintenance on it? Look before we take him away, because it might be just as easy to get it attended to while we're here. Looks like it needs a little bit of work. We'll just run him back down the side there. So let's just do the maintenance here. Repair it for $8.93. Might as well get him to look at the truck. And there we go. Our new trailer. Flash indeed. Flash as paint, my dad would say. Honey, I'm home with a brand new trailer. What he's thinking is if we put this over here, you can see where he's got the Allis there. Bit of glare off the shiny new unit. But if we put this on the apron here and open the cover, he's just realised, having a closer look at the mechanism, he got all excited having money in the bank. This will be really useful for our grain operations, but it's not a damn piece of good for our sugar beet, cut or otherwise, because it doesn't take it. So, back down to grab the other trailer, which we'll just use the way we originally intended. Still a good pickup. For all our grain operations, it'll be really useful moving the grain from our silo to the sell points quite a bit faster than using the trailer we've got here. We can see we ended up with a smidge over 200,000 litres of corn, which is going to be worth a princely 182,000 when it comes time to sell. So that is the sort of thing that brings a smile to Jake's face, because notwithstanding we've got a little bit of money in the bank that we'll plough back into the new milking operation. At least 100,000 of that 180 from the corn will be able to come straight off the mortgage, which will make Paige very pleased with Jake, and that is always a good thing. And what he's going to be quite interested to see is this wasn't the machine he intended to get. It was one he kind of found later and Eddie directed him towards. So let's open it up. Everything unfolds, as you can see. So if we put our header down, turn it on. And it looks like we're harvesting sugar beet. So this is sure a lot easier than we had last time. A lot less messing around. As he watches the gauges, the other thing he's pretty interested in is the fact that we've already got 5,000 litres of sugar beet. Now, we know that when we cut it, I'll just pause here for a second. We know that when we cut the sugar beet, we get more money for it. So regular sugar beet makes $2.29, but cut it makes $3.21 at the biogas plant, and up as high as $3.70. So if we say maybe $3.50, even if we work on 300 because the maths is easy, between 3 and 350, say, as an average price, that means we need 3,000 litres to make $1,000. The equipment's going to cost us all up for the year. It was 14,000 for this, plus a little bit of usage, plus 3,000 for the header. So let's call it 20 for the equipment. So we need at least 60,000 litres. Well, here we go. We haven't even finished the first row and we're at 12. So Dake is already feeling pretty darn good about the economics of his decision. Now the question is, how careful are we going to be just heading to the hillside? These trees he didn't have time to clear out to make himself a turning circle, so we'll make ourselves a bit of space and try not to end up putting this piece of kit in the river. But the all-wheel steering combined with the horsepower makes feeling pretty darn comfortable so far. Let's try the outer row on this side and see how that goes. She's proving pretty straightforward to handle around those corners. Bit of a lean as we go across. Wouldn't want to get too much further over on that slope. That'd feel a bit uncomfortable. What's it like in the cab? There you do. He's not slopping his coffee on the console, so that's a start. Doesn't seem to mind the hill. We're going to make it. We won't make it back, you know. We're going to have to come out to the road to empty the hopper. So what we might do is cut ourselves an access track, just so that we don't have to fiddle around and back out. The wider header makes a big difference over the one we had last year, just because you can cut yourself a road. Right. Yeah, if he's not mistaken. Let's open up. Just pick our header up. Turn you off for a sec. Let's do an empty. So there's every chance that the biggest problem we're going to have here is where the hell do we put all this sugar beet? Nice problem to have. Could end up clearing all the equipment out of the barn again while we dump it on the floor. Because at the rate we're harvesting, we haven't even been round once yet. And he's already got half of what he was hoping for. It's looking a bit steeper over there. It doesn't feel unsafe. And this wider header helps keep the body of the vehicle off the crop, so this is going a treat. We'll concentrate on clearing this end of the crop, and then we've got plenty of room for the equipment and to turn. Yeah, Jake's very happy with his choice. This is much more agile than he was expecting. Go. Coming up on 30,000 in the harvester, 20,000 in the truck. We're going to get the crop yield we were hoping for simply out of this field, and we've still got 2 to come. So I think what we will do is put one on the apron down here to process into cut, but we're not going to get much more than a trailer load there, and then we might have to put the next few loads. In fact, we can't even tip here by the looks, which is a bit strange. There we go, we can tip on our forecourt. Paige won't be very happy, but we won't leave it there for too long. Good height adjustment on the... Can change the tipping angle using the J, K, N and M keys on the keyboard, so... Plenty of adjustment. I wonder if, given that how nimble it is, it might be just as quick to run up and empty the load, given that we're quite close. We can possibly empty straight onto the forecourt. Let's have a look. And indeed we can, and we can pop our chute out. It works beautifully. That's probably better than using the trailer at the minute. Just got to be mindful of the clearance on the edge of the barn, the shelter there. There we go, coming up to another full hopper. Jake's got a new favourite piece of equipment. So I might put one more load here. There we go. Up and down. Control I to empty him out. Based on the volume that we've generated, it's taken the pressure off time-wise a little bit, because he was feeling a little bit up against the clock, worried about the cost of this unit. But given that this first field is going to easily cover the cost of the machine, with our profit sitting in the other two, he's not concerned about that at all. So we'll just go and fill it up again. Comfortably going to get 100,000 litres of sugar beet off this first field alone. So life is good. Just a little tricky with those shadows, seeing the outer edge of the header. But so far, going very nicely. Let's square off the edge here. Ourselves in position. Just trying to guess the arc that front of the header describes as your turn. But basically we just bounce along here at 6 miles an hour and life is really good. We're going to have another full tank here in a minute. Might just stop there. Take this trailer load up. Because it's probably a bit of a slow, tedious process that he might need to think about making the chop. Now, just curious, are we able to tip in that shed there? I'm not sure. We know we can tip in the big one. Yeah, we can. That's helpful. Just got to be a little judicious with the size of the pile. Right. Now what we can do just check that our chopping operation is going to work the way we think. But I'm guessing Jake might want to get a little creative here with some materials handling, because he's ended up with a lot more sugar beet than he expected to have. And at 2,300, I mean, this is 10 loads just out of here. So the bucket works okay. It's just a little on the slow side. But at least he knows that that process is fine. Lift it up. That's where we might leave Jake, filling his trailer with a load that we can take down when we're happy with the price. We won't sell anything this month, but if we've got a full load ready to go when the BGA, we know they'll take it from us, but we'd prefer them to pay us a little bit more for it, so we might just hold off for a month or so, and in the meantime figure out what the right materials handling solution is. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe. See ya.